for once, my software is not to blame, and I'm loving it. Because I've been the sole software developer for a suicide hotline for about almost 3 years now. They brought me on as a contract, and then eventually hired me full time internally with a and so with that comes a lot of bumps and grinds and stuff. Shit happens, and there's been a lot of times where my server, my desktop software, my relay, my XSI system, things have been rocky along the way. It happens. They gave me a task, and the only thing I had going for me was a 500-page Cisco BroadWorks XSI PDF that was 500 pages, black and white, piss poor. I hate to say it, it's old, from like 2012 or whatever, and I reverse engineered my way through Nextiva's systems into it, and managed to use some credentials to build a sort of a way of hooking into the XSI system without Nextiva actually giving us the permission to do it. And so, with that, there's a lot of times where something goes wrong, and it's always usually been my software at fault. Something I didn't catch, something I wasn't really expecting. Always small, we've been in user testing for, I would say, probably this entire time. Everything's just under staging. We had production for maybe 3 months, and then we did a complete overhaul. So it's been a rocky road, and finally today everything comes crashing down, mind you. And it's not my fault. It's Nextiva's, or rather it's XSI, randomly deciding to start rejecting my API. Not my fault. Why? Because it's actually Nextiva's fault. Here's the catch. We have been talking to Nextiva on and off for years. I won't even start naming names, but we had our original account manager, who was pretty much a ghost the entire time. We tried getting in contact with him over and over and over again, and he would only really pop up in business meetings where it was like, oh, we're trying to sell you a new product. So eventually, we kind of just told Nextiva's upper management that we were tired of him and that he was just completely disrespectful, so they got rid of him, or he left, or whatever, it doesn't matter. Then he got replaced by another guy. Great dude. Eventually he goes away. And now we're on our third person, and she is doing really great, except for the fact that, once again, we were like, hey, we don't have the money as a company to afford the $30,000, I'm just kidding, I don't actually know the number, but it was high, multi-$1,000, new system to be custom built for us and stuff like that, and custom tailored, not custom built, but custom tailored to us and stuff like that. It was a lot of money that we as a nonprofit really can't afford. So, we decided to stick with my system, running on the old system, which is a buggy mess because we have yet to get administrative access. We use the back-end panel, we use the director's account, and then under that is a supervisor, and then under them is a bunch of agents, and I use the supervisor access to be able to list the directories and the agents and stuff like that, except every time we add a new desk, or every time we move a desk, all of that gets kaput. It uses XSI and the OCIP interface under the hood, which, God forbid you find any documentation on any of that you don't have to pay for or somehow access through a paid thing, because we have never been given access, so I've had to just do this on my own for years. And well, that's kind of what we've hit today. I went through, we were in a panic, we're trying to figure out why all the desktops are shutting down, or, well, why my software is shutting down one by one. First it started with Jan, and then it started with the supervisor, and then it went on to a handful of other agents, and we're like, what is going on? I haven't touched anything, and it's weirdly the same day I'm doing a new rollout. I just reverse engineered, I gotta stop overusing that term, but I converted a conformer model from floats to integers to run on native CPU 7 times faster than the floats can, using my proprietary format. So, in doing so, on the same day I'm rolling out, I'm I'm working with Cloudflare on the dashboard, and I touch one thing, and suddenly I start getting messages, "Yo, what's going on?" And I'm like, I don't know. I touched the staging URL. I have not. I touched the production URL to update the IP address to point towards the new server that we set up the other day on our on-premise one, because now we have to move on-premise from DigitalOcean because of HIPAA. Now that we're rolling in this transcription stuff, and so somehow God just really loves to mess with us. The same day we're doing one thing, something else completely unrelated decides to tank, and so everyone's pointing fingers at me, wondering, is it my problem? No, it's just XSI, because we changed some things around, and we forgot to reauthorize them to be back under the original supervisor, and it's just a pain, because the only way into that is a Java applet. That's painful. That's not even a REST API that I can finagle. That is a Java applet tied directly to an interface that I have no way in hell of knowing how to work with. And it stores the context, I'm guessing internally, because anytime that we try to get into it through the API and then go to the next page that you would expect to be able to go to, it just acts stupid, like you've never done anything before. So somehow there's a session context I have no access to within this Java applet system that no one has access to, because Nextiva will not hand over any engineering details. Even though it's not even their system, they will not tell us how the hell we can make an administrator access so that we can stop having to do this. At least a service account, something. Which is not impossible, mind you. And they have just been difficult. Not the worst. They're not a bad company. It's just this one little tiny piece of the puzzle where they just grab you by the dick and really hope you love how hard they yank. And it's difficult, man. But it wasn't my fault today. I can say that.